Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Okay, Jay Fallon, and thanks for listening to the Slippery Slope. So I haven't done any QPS news for a little while now. Thanks very much to Brian from Men of Faith Ministries letting me know about this story here, and I've got another one that I want to talk about that came about a couple of weeks ago, and I did want to talk about, but it'd been a bit crook and just hadn't gotten around to it. Anyway, get on to this one first. So as a police officer is being charged, a senior constable from the Emergency Response and Coordination Command has been served with a notice to appear in relation to alleged drug offences. Those those painful little drug offences that get in the way of having a good time, apparently, if you're a police officer. The member has been charged with one count each of possessing dangerous drugs and possess utensils or pipes, etc., that has been used, allegedly committed while off duty. Thank goodness it was while he was off duty, eh? You can't expect, got to have that bar sitting somewhere. Can't expect too much, I suppose. The member has been stood down from QPS, Queensland Police Service, and is expected to appear in the Beenleigh Magistrates Court on the 24th of June. And keeping with our commitment to high standards of behaviour, transparency, and accountability, we have undertaken to inform the public very little information, as we usually do. I love this spiel. I know I've said it 100 times, but this spiel, in keeping with our commitment to high standards, we're not going to tell you virtually anything. We're just going to give you a little headline, very, very brief. Keep the information very brief, and that's about all that we'll do. That's our service. That's our obligation to you. We'll give you minimum information, tell you nothing, take you nowhere. One of our members doing drugs in his own time. He's been busted and he's going to court in Beenleigh on the 24th of June. That's about all they tell you. So, but they give you the little spiel. Hey, our commitment to high standards is we're not going to tell you jack. So anyway, that happened the other day. So let's check out this other story. This is probably a little more important, I believe. This happened in Cairns. Cairns the other couple of weeks ago, like I said. So Cairns, a woman dies after being struck by police vehicle. So police crossed an intersection from a left-only turn lane before they hit and killed an elderly woman walking on a green signalled pedestrian crossing in Cairns. I'm not going to show that video. It's just a video showing moments beforehand. So police crossed an intersection from a left-only turn lane before they hit and killed this elderly woman. So a Trinity Beach woman, Boksoon Kwan, 71. Imagine living to 71 years and then you get killed by police. The very organisation that's supposed to be out there protecting individuals, you get killed by them. So she's died in hospital after she was hit by a police four-wheel drive about 7 a.m. So, 7 a.m., you're in Cairns. You can't say it was dark. I mean, sun's out. You see the video of moments beforehand. Sun was out. It's a bright, sunny day. A beautiful day up in Cairns, except if you're this poor lady. So the Queensland Police Union said the three officers were attempting to catch an offender who was nearby when the tragedy happened on the intersection of Sheridan and Lily Streets. I dare say, three officers in the car. Obviously, one's driving. That one who is driving is obligated to keep his eye on traffic, oncoming traffic, pedestrians. What's going on? You know what? The main reason I had for talking about this story is I've spoken to numerous amounts of officers involved in training officers, and especially training officers with in regards to driving police vehicles. The main complaints that officers who are training recruits, the main complaint they had was the inability for recruits to actually drive. The standard the driving standard that was expected by the Queensland Police Service was very low. One of their main complaints was police recruits coming through not meeting those standards, and yet QPS still allowing them, just constantly testing them, constantly putting them through until they meet the standard. So it's not like, yep, okay, you've missed by 1 or 2 points or something like that. You've made a couple of mistakes, but we'll re-examine you again and get you through. No, I know of people who have gone through and being retested over a dozen times. They didn't meet the standard. QPS, the Queensland, the recruiting section just keep testing them until they eventually pass. And one of the main complaints that officers involved in training was that officers, recruits who shouldn't be through, who could not drive at a decent standard, and yet Queensland Police just kept testing them until eventually they passed. And actually, uh, if my memory serves correct, being told by senior officers that these recruits needed to pass, so they were obligated to make sure they passed. And then this is what happens when you lower standards. And I know I've gone on about this again and again. This is what happens when you lower standards. You don't keep standards high. You allow people to go through that shouldn't be in because you're either trying to hit a quota, trying to hit a certain ratio, a certain standard. And dare say, there's some people that I've seen in QPS very recently who should not be driving four-wheel drives because of their diminutive stature. When you're about 100, lucky to be 160 centimeters, there is no way you should be driving some of these bigger cars that QPS have. You're just not big enough. How do you even? I've got no idea how they even reach the pedals, some of these people. But, you know, getting back to it, people being allowed through who cannot meet minimum standards in QPS when it comes to driver training, and yet they just push through. It's been made very clear that they have to make it through, that they'll just be tested until they eventually pass, and that's just the way it is. And then this is what happens. Cairns has a bit of a history for killing pedestrians, killing people. What was it? Early 2010, somewhere, I can't remember. I can't remember whether I was in Cairns or Mossman or where I was. Anyway, I was up there, up north working, and there was a very senior officer, I think he was an inspector at the time, actually killed a woman going into the driveway in through the officers' station in there. Yeah, killed a person who was, I think, asleep or crashed or something like that. I can't remember the exact details, but yeah. So Cairns has a bit of a history of this kind of thing. But you got three people in the car, three officers. You've seen someone who's wanted. You're chasing down. How on earth do you make a turn and you miss a pedestrian because you're not looking at the road, you're not looking at what's ahead, you're not using your peripherals to drive, and all you've got is your eye on the target, your target fixation, and you forget about the people you're supposed to be protecting, pedestrians. My goodness, how does this even happen? So anyway, so they said, we'll go on with this story. Queensland Police Union said the three officers were attempting to catch an offender who was nearby, blah, blah, blah. However, this masthead, I'm reading this from the Courier Mail, understands investigators are looking at whether or not the three officers in the car were performing urgent duty driving. I dare say they probably didn't even have their sirens on. Urgent duty driving is permitted when police are responding to priority code 1 or 2 jobs, or if it is not practicable to obtain a priority code, an immediate police response to an incident is required. Ms. Kwan was crossing the road on a green walk signal when she was hit. A video emerged showing a police vehicle driving from a left-only turn lane on Lily Street, stopping, putting on lights, not following the traffic sign directions, and driving across Sheridan Street toward another intersection. The death of Miss Kwan comes during National Road Safety Week. Her devastated son was too distraught to comment on Thursday. Deputy Commissioner John Timms said the CCTV video, police footage, and any dash cam provided by the public would be examined. We are aware there is a video out there. I'm not going to comment on it. Heaven forbid he should comment on it. That will form part of the investigation. Queensland Police Union President Shane Pryor. Have you seen, just going off on a bit of a tangent, I've seen, and it's public knowledge, I believe, but I've seen a screenshot of pays, how much the Queensland Police Union President Shane Pryor gets paid. Over the 300 mark. Nice little gig if you can get it, I suppose. Shane Pryor. So he's made a comment and said officers saw the wanted offender on the side of the road, which required them to go through the intersection. I would say, Shane Pryor, it does not require you to drive like that just because you see an offender on the side of the road. Wasn't an emergent situation? Was anyone's life at risk, or was he just someone who's wanted and they've just seen him? He wasn't doing anything illegal at the time. No one else's life was at risk because he was on the street. He wasn't committing an indictable offense at the time. He wasn't, attacking someone. No. If he wasn't doing anything, well, then it wasn't an emergent reason. You didn't really need that. It wasn't required of them to go through the intersection. They could have just, obeyed the road rules like everyone else, like what they're supposed to, and then taken a turn when it was safe. And I'll say it wasn't safe. We know it wasn't safe because they killed someone. So it wasn't safe. They should have just waited, and look what happened because they didn't. I would say, just my opinion, going off by what they read, why what you're saying, it wasn't an emergent reason for them to make that turn. They made a bad mistake. It was a bad judgment call. Someone took their eye off the road. They're too busy looking at the target. They got some target fixation. They've forgotten all the rules for emergent driving, for urgent duty driving, and someone has died because they shouldn't have been driving at the time, or because they forgot basic driver training. So it says lights were activated at the time and the entire incident was recorded on dash cam footage, he said. A sergeant and two senior constables were in the car. Oh my goodness. A sergeant and two senior constables. So this is police officers with, if they were in a four-wheel drive up in Cairns, a sergeant and two senior connies. I'm going to say it was probably what's that crew? The one that get out and they like to tuck their pants into their socks and, pretend that they're kind of cert little wannabes. I've forgotten the names. Anyway, they're usually the ones that are getting out, do this kind of stuff, driving the four-wheel drives. Eye off the ball, someone's died. A little ridiculous, QPS. Shane Pryor talking about urgent duty driving. It's going to be hard. It's going to be interesting to see the justification, what happens here. I dare say someone will be charged because it's going to be too hard to justify making this turn just because you've seen, unless this person who was on the other side of the road who was wanted, unless this person was actually committing a crime, a dangerous crime at the time, and they thought, well, someone else's life is in danger here. I don't see how they're going to be able to justify making a turn that, an illegal turn, and then taking out an innocent pedestrian and killing her. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, what the outcome of this is. I will be keeping track of this. Anyway, let me know what you think. I know for a fact driving standards have been dropped over the years because I've spoken to several people involved in driver training who have complained about allowing recruits through, who just keep the service just say, well, just keep testing them until they eventually pass. If you have to test someone 20 odd times before they pass, I dare say they shouldn't be driving a police vehicle. That's just my own humble opinion. My name is Jay Fallon. I'm making all these comments because I was a former police officer back in the day. My name's Jay Fallon. Let me know what you think. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope. See what QPS have to say for themselves.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Nothing's gonna stop me now. No more deals to be done. Nothing's gonna just focus on the goal. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Got my eye on the prize. Got my eye